It's the most controversial graphic novel of our time. A story about severe gender confusion, containing gross and graphic depictions of gay sex and masturbation. But does this comic book really deserve to be banned from preschool libraries? I read Genderqueer, so your 5-year-old doesn't have to. If you're enjoying this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. We need you here. Alright, welcome to Comic Artist Pro Secrets. It's me, your friend, Ethan Van Sciver, 29, year veteran of the comic book industry, and leading voice in the activist movement known as Comicsgate, which seeks to push back against radical leftist intrusion in the culture, but specifically in the comic book industry, because that's what I do. I'm a comic book artist and a comic book writer, and this is where I feel I can do the most good in the culture war, and it is a deep concern of mine. This is what I love. I love comics. I hate to see them ruined by these people. Woke up this morning, got out of bed, turned on my computer, saw Bleeding Cool, and read this article title and vomited all over the floor. Proud Boys, a drinking club, men's club, a drinking club. Anti-Antifa, as it were. They failed to ban genderqueer graphic novel from Chicago schools. I didn't know you Proud Boys were doing the jobs of parents at PTA meetings, but good on you. Sorry you failed. You probably would have succeeded anywhere other than Chicago, which is widely seen as the most corrupt and lost, fallen city in the United States. You would have had luck somewhere else, anywhere else, because this pushback is being met with some success in other states and other cities. What is this all about? Okay. There are a lot of parents that are appearing at PTA meetings and demanding that public school librarians, quote-unquote, do their job and remove inappropriate or pornographic materials. What? Pornographic materials from public school libraries. Public school libraries, taxpayer public school libraries. Yes, my friends, your tax dollars are being given to woke activist librarians who use it to pay comic book graphic novel publishers, creators, to make woke propaganda. And that's the deal. They're just kind of like, hey, if you make, go ahead and feel free, hire this activist, this weirdo to make a comic book that promotes our leftist gay agenda or our critical race theory agenda or whatever it is, and or subvert something that, you know, everybody subvert something like Barbie or something like that, or G.I. Joe, and make it into something subversive. And we will pay for it, we will buy it from you, and we will stock our library shelves with it. We will use taxpayer money to get you to make this woke propaganda, and then we will put it where kids can find it, and then just shrug. Because what are you going to say? Are you going to call us? Are you going to tell us to remove this? What are you, some kind of Nazi book burner? What are you, pro-censorship? How dare you, ladies and gentlemen? And that is precisely what's going on right now all over the country. It reminds me in the 1950s, during the Joe McCarthy era. Remember that? No, you don't remember that. I don't either. I'm not that old, but I've read about it. And there were overseas libraries that were taxpayer funded, and the entire point of them, okay, we had these Americanism libraries. In other countries, you paid for them or your grandparents paid for them. And the idea was to fill them with pro-American, pro-democracy, pro-liberty propaganda, so that other people who were living under different systems of government might read them and dream of the day when they too might be free like America. We paid for that. We thought that was an important thing for us to do, to promote our ideology, to promote our ideals, to promote our standards to other people in other countries. Lo and behold, those public libraries were also infiltrated by communists who began to fill those libraries that you paid for with weird communist propaganda. Joe McCarthy, the great Senator Joe McCarthy, the much maligned Joe McCarthy, sent Roy Cohn and friends over to these public libraries, not school libraries, public libraries, to root out the communist propaganda and actually expose it, and then ask a lot of questions. Who's doing this? How is this material getting in here? Are Americans aware that we're paying for this? It's weird that there are just communist subversives in every nook and cranny of our government. And of course, they were pilloried the same way. Oh, you're Nazi book burners. Oh, how dare you? This is censorship. It isn't censorship when it's taxpayer funded. Our public school libraries, which are there to give kids materials that we think are going to strengthen their young minds or, I don't know, culture them in some way, parents get a say. It's as simple as that. We pay for it. We get to decide what goes in there and what our kids see. Okay? When we send our kids to school, we are entrusting them to the government, and the government needs to be accountable to us, the parents, and thus, when something like this ends up in a public school library, we have every reason to complain, unless we're wrong, unless this is perfectly appropriate material for young minds. All right, so having confronted that situation, and this being, like I said, the most controversial graphic novel of our time, I decided I'd better read it. So I went to my Amazon Prime Kindle account and was fortunate to be able to get this for free. I did not have to pay for it. It was part of some subscription plan. And I made myself read it. I didn't know it was going to be this long. Is it nearly 300 pages long? Fortunately, the artwork itself, and you got to see this. It's funny because this is Bleeding Cool, so Rich Johnson doesn't actually show any pages that might be offensive. He shows like the sweetest little scene. All right, class, we have a visitor. Please, this looks like a second grader did this. Please welcome David. Hi, some of you know me. I'm a senior here, and I'm also the only openly gay student on campus. I want to start a look at the touchdown. I want to start a queer straight alliance! Exclamation point. We're going to meet on Fridays at lunch. Please come if you're interested. Okay, and there we go. I was just thinking about going in there, but I was just really nervous about... This is the author here. Hey, I'm going to go check out the Queer Straight Alliance meeting. I'll see you later? Oh, okay. And then, boom. Oh, hooray! I am here. I walked in. I joined the Queer Straight Alliance. There's a rainbow. Touchdown! And then, hooray, this is what we're doing. Yay, marriage. Gay marriage is legal. And then they talk about gay penguins. Yay! And then I found comics. And now, who could possibly object to any of this? Having seen this sequence from the book, you would be... These people, these the Proud Boys, these parents who are complaining, they must just be bigots, right? I mean, come on, that was so awesome. It was just all about coming together and finding who you are, amongst others. That's not what the book is. That's just one scene in the book. Genderqueer is an autobiographical graphic novel, and it talks about the first 30 years of Maya Kobabe's life, and it focuses on how impossible it is. Maya, at a very young age, clearly suffers crippling anxiety of the type, and depression of the type that cannot be conceived. If Maya was your friend, she wouldn't be your friend for very long. She is one of the most, she doesn't want to be called she, I understand, is one of the most annoying human beings on the face of the earth. Constantly looking inwards, navel gazing, making big decisions about whether to shave her legs or not, focusing, like being horrified by maxi pads. There's a 4-page sequence in which we see this character menstruating and then leaving maxi pads out to dry. And by the way, those I'm not going to show them, but the drawings of the maxi pads with drying crusty blood, very well carefully depicted, very carefully rendered drawings as opposed to this, and it just goes on and on. There are graphic and disgusting depictions of sex and masturbation, usually involving like Lord of the Rings characters and things like that. Anyway, Maya has a real problem. Maya is struggling with this idea that being a girl is absolutely impossible. There is no family in any real way that is concerned about Maya. They just sort of go, they shrug at her, or they validate everything that she says. Everything in Maya's life basically affirms every harebrained decision or thought in Maya's head, and yet life is still an incredible struggle. Everybody just kind of goes, "That's good. You're awesome. Keep being you. You're great." Maya's parents are dirty hippies in the book. I completely relate. Mine were too. They are beatniks who are completely self-absorbed. She has siblings, she has a sister that's shown in the book who is also genderqueer. Is that a coincidence? There's no community. There's no faith or church. There are no mentors at school. She tells everyone that she is suffering from gender dysphoria. She wants to be a boy. Nobody offers counseling, medical consultation, anything like that. Maya starts to believe that she was arbitrarily assigned her female gender at birth. She's pretty sure it was a mistake. And she reports that in the book, she finds her true self. Who am I? I don't know who I am. What am I? Who knows? Oh, here's pornography. And she figures it out by reading pornography and all of this kind of gay shipping queer material written by people who are also gender dysphoric. What's strange about this is that most adults either identify as straight or gay, and people who have gender dysphoria who would call themselves non-binary are like less than 1% of the population. But everyone who Maya comes into contact in this book seems to be just like Maya, or they understand Maya. Everyone around Maya is gay or queer or non-binary in some way. Eventually, Maya decides that non-binary doesn't describe Maya. Maya would like to be called genderqueer. Words are a big thing for the left, by the way. They're either running from words or they're trying to come up with new words to define who they are until they no longer like that. It's just severe anxiety all the time. Who am I? What am I? What am I doing? What am I looking for? How come this doesn't feel right? How come this is awful? How come I'm terrified of this? What is that? Like, this is 300 pages of that, essentially. Any parent who finds that their kid brings this home is going to be terrified. They really are. If they read it like I did, they're going to be worried. I read it and I'm grateful that I have not encountered this myself. I don't have any of these problems, and neither do any of my kids that I know of, thank goodness. And if they did, I would want them to come to me and we would talk about it in a very serious way, in which I did not necessarily say, "Oh yeah, well you were just the doctor, when you were born, Hunter, the doctor saw a penis between your legs and just decided you were a boy, but who knows, maybe he was wrong." These are some really strange ideas that are being floated and treated as mainstream, in my opinion, and they are dangerous and not good for kids. National Coalition Against Censorship is out there right now chastising you, the parent, and saying, "Hey, how dare you? Censoring books like this and, quote, denying students the well-rounded education that is essential. Like, this is about preserving a healthy democracy." Anytime a leftist starts talking about the word democracy, they start using the word democracy, they're up to no good. It's something that I've learned in the past couple of years. When they're talking about our democracy is being threatened, they are up to no good. You should always, that is a red alert, guys. None of this is, they can't honestly believe anything that they're saying. I personally don't believe that the book is pornographic. I read it. To me, pornography is, let me tell you something. You could look at this and you could decide differently, but pornography is something that titillates. It's meant to sort of arouse you. This will fill you with disgust. The depictions of sex and masturbation that you see here will make you vomit. They are disgusting. So I don't consider them to be pornography, because pornography is often arousing. In fact, it is almost always, at least to somebody, arousing and beautiful. This is disgusting. Now, I would say to you, read this book if you're a parent. If you're an adult, read this book. I need you to understand what's going on right now in comics. I mean, this is just comics, but this is just a snapshot of the larger world. This is what's going on at Disney right now. This is what's going on all around you. This narrative is being pushed. They're trying to normalize this with your kids. But the main reason why you should read this comic book is just to know what not to do when you're raising adolescents. As you read this book, you're going to see so many chances. Like, there are so many opportunities for Maya's beatnik, horrible parents, the people around Maya, to step up and say, the doctors that examine Maya. Maya is terrified of absolutely everything. Maya has anxiety attacks that leave Maya weeping over a pap smear, over the idea that things can go into your vagina. That's a, oh my God, ah! Look, read this book and just understand what not to do in these situations. Understand what, if your child is like this, understand that, affirming it might not be the best way to go. Counseling, a lot of other things. I don't want to, listen, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. I won't even pretend to be. But all I can say is the answer to everything in this book to Maya was yes. Everyone told Maya yes, 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 everything. Maybe it's time to intervene. I don't know. But Maya, throughout this book, is just given a blank check to pursue a quest, this weird quest to discover who Maya is that could lead to puberty blockers, put Maya at a higher risk of suicide, surgery, like weird surgery. I don't know. I sense agenda about all of this. I think maybe you will too. But this is definitely, our kids, and this is evidence that our kids are being indoctrinated into these phony notions of gender fluidity, absurd ideas like assigned female at birth, and non-binary. These have become normalized in our schools. They never were when we were kids. But fortunately, there is some resistance to this. Because kindergartners and kids do understand that boys are boys and girls are girls, and it's going to be very difficult to try to change these young minds. And fortunately, we have people like, Governor DeSantis in Florida that are pushing legislation to stop the teaching of gender identity to children between the ages of 3 and 7. And I think that's the least that can be done. This is all absurd. It's ridiculous. And I would say do not. I would say this book should probably not be in public school libraries. It's not that it isn't a work of art. I would say it is a work of art. Even I'm going to go that far, and I'm going to say even though the drawings are terrible, I'm going to say that as I read it, I felt like I was in a spiral. I felt like my head was spinning. It was vertigo. I was depressed. I was sad. I was miserable reading about this person's life. I guess that's art. But is it for kids? Is it some kind of instruction manual for our kids? Please, God, no. Let me know what you think about this. Tell me what you think. Woke trash is being turned up, is being placed in our public school libraries for our kids. It's obvious at this point. How do you feel about it? Do you feel like it's censorship to ask that it not be placed there? How do you feel about this book? Have you read this book? I don't know. Leave me a comment. And either way, even if you want to, call me a bigot and all of these things, feel free. I don't care, dude. This was like a really weird book. And please like, share, subscribe. Check and see if you're still subscribed. YouTube, of course, arbitrarily unsubscribes some of my subscribers when I do too many live streams. We do live streams almost every night on this channel. Subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so that you can be alerted to them. Thank you, everyone. I love you, appreciate you, and I'll see you again next time for another video. The All Caps Comics eBay store is live for all of your non-soy comic book needs. Whether it's CYBERFROG, Starblades, or Rainbow the Brute, ask for it in all caps. Check out the link in the description below. Hey, come follow me on Twitter, @EthanVanSkyver.